Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and I'm a little bit snuggled up because I'm feeling a bit cold today and I'm struggling to get warm, so I'm wrapped in my blanket. But I wanted to talk to you about two books that I have read this week so far. The first of them is Hex by Thomas Olde Hoevelt, I think it's said, and this is an ARC copy I was very kindly sent by the publisher for an honest review. This is totally out of my comfort zone. It is horror. It is one that's creepy and one that I don't pick up horror. I don't pick up creepy books normally because I don't like being scared and I have an overactive imagination, but there was quite a few of us that wanted to read this, and so along with Janet from Swirly Girly Reads, Brittany from Under the Radar Books and Tracy from Flamingo Reads, we decided to read this together, about 6 chapters a day, so we read it over a period of 4 or 5 days. So I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it 4 stars, and it was a really interesting look into humanity and what people do under pressure, and it's a really eerie story. I don't want to talk too much about it, but just to tell you, basically it's set in this town, this small town, and they are totally shut off really from the rest of the country and the world. I mean, not totally shut off, people can come in and go out, but the people that live there, that have residences there, if they leave for too long, they start to feel suicidal and strange, and so they can't leave the town for long. And there is this woman who walks around town, and she has her eyes sewn shut and her mouth sewn shut, and she walks around and pops up places and sort of disappears and pops up in other places, and she could be anywhere, and people are just used to this happening. She could pop up in your dining room while you're eating dinner and people will just try to carry on. They don't touch her, but sometimes they'll throw like a rug over her so that they can't see her, and it just manages to create this really eerie feeling of uncertainty, that you never know when this person's going to arrive. And she has a backstory. There's a backstory about how she came to be and how the town came to be as it was, but I don't want to spoil that because that's something that you find out as it goes along. What I really enjoyed is this is a very current story. So the teenagers in the town are, you know, involved in social media and YouTube, and that goes heavily into the plot. And you know, they want to do things and they're frustrated by not being able to do certain things, and that their life isn't a choice. And I just thought this was really interesting. It was a really great one to chat to with each other. I was slightly disappointed with the ending, but that might be because of the type of ending I like. And if I tell you that, then it spoils it a little bit. But I came away from this book feeling sad and a bit depressed. So it's not my usual type of book, but I can definitely see it for what it is and appreciate it for the genre that it comes from, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read is one that I read on my Kindle from NetGalley, and that is Ecoella by Ashley Poston. This is, as it probably sounds, a Cinderella type retelling. It is involving our main character Elle, who is a blogger, and she blogs about a TV show called Starfield, which gave me a little bit of a feel of sort of Star Trek or Firefly, and that type of program where there is a big fandom and she is a big fan and people really love it. And her father had set up this Excelsior Con, which was like a convention for Starfield, and she now lives with her stepmother and twin stepsisters, and her father has died, her mother has died, and she lives with her stepmother and her 2 stepsisters, as I said. Her stepsisters are beauty vloggers, and she is working in a sort of vegan pumpkin travelling truck with a girl called Sage, and it's just about her, and it's told from her point of view, and then also from our male Prince Charming, so to speak, who is called Darian, and he is just been cast as the lead in the new Starfield film, which has been announced, and people are nervous about it because obviously fandoms can get really tense about these sort of things, and it causes much debate. And he's come from sort of your sort of teen soap opera. He's been really big in sort of a soap opera scene, but people wonder if he can do justice to the character. And it's about these two, how their paths cross, and how they form a relationship, and it's just really interesting and fun, and it follows the Cinderella story but in a really nice original current way. You've got the vlogging and the blogging. There's lots of diversity in here. We've got lesbians, we've got cross-dressers, and all sorts of different people, and all coming together for this love of this TV show, and I really enjoyed that. It made me feel like how we all fangirl about certain fandoms, and it was just good fun. It was easy. It was nice to be reading alongside Hex, which was much darker and scarier, and so I really enjoyed it, and I gave this one 4 stars as well. So hopefully when you see me next, I won't be so cold and I won't be all shivery and in a blanket, and I will come back to you when I have finished my next book. Hi everyone, so I'm now going to be talking about the next book that I finished this week, and that is The Sorcerer to the Crown by Zen Cho. I was reading this with the lovely Olive, and well, it didn't go as expected. Both myself and Olive were really excited about reading this book. It's on paper a book that both of us should love. It's got magic and sorcery. It's got that sort of Regency period, which reminds me a little bit of Gail Carriger's Parasol Protectorate series. It's got women fighting for their rights, or so I thought, and a bit of a fantastical quest. And this just felt really flat, unfortunately, for me. I felt the pacing hadn't been very well done. It took a long time to get to the action, and then we had sort of bursts of action and then sort of flatter moments, which meant that I was sort of switched off quite a bit. I didn't really like the way that women were portrayed. Now, in some ways, that can be seen as a product of the times, because it's set in Regency period. Women probably weren't treated, as equals, and I can see that, but it grated on me a little bit, especially the way that they were treated with regards to magic, when it was quite clear that they were more magical than the men, and yet the men didn't want them to be part of any of the societies. And I also thought this painted sort of race in not such a great light. I think it laboured the point, and it didn't really work to challenge those assumptions amongst anyone. I think, if you're going to put those in there, and you're going to put them in because they were obviously put in for that purpose, you need to try and change something, or show something, or show that these people aren't just passive in the things that are happening to them. So that disappointed me a little bit. And I just kind of wished there had been more time in Fairyland. So to give you, before chat about this, you don't even know what the book's about. So basically we have Zacharias, and he is the sorcerer to the crown. He's the head sorcerer, and he's only just become that because his mentor and sort of foster father, so to speak, the man that's taken him in, Stephen, has died, and he has taken over this role as the sorcerer to the crown. And it's the sort of highest sorcery role. So although it's not the highest role in the land, because you've still got, this is sort of set in Regency period, but as if it was sort of magic was just there. So magic is a thing, you know, so you've still got the government and you've still got the Queen and the Prime Ministers and things like that, but you just have magic. And so magic is its own sort of government style body, or not really a government body, but like its own thing. And they have some influences with sort of things that happen in the country, and so it's quite an important role. He is a black man. People don't like that there's a black man, and there are people that want to take this honour off of him, but there's also this sort of underlying feeling that magic is dwindling in England, and Zacharias decides he needs to find out why, and en route to sort of this place near Fairyland to sort of check up on what's happening, he offers to go and give this talk at a gentle witches academy for, you know, girls with magical abilities, to sort of try and quell them and stop them from using them so much, and to get to grips with their magic. And he stops off and he happens upon Prunella, and the story really goes from there. As I say, it's just such a shame, because it had all the elements of the type of story that I would really enjoy, but I just wasn't enjoying it, didn't want to pick it up, and it just fell very flat for me. It didn't really pace itself very well, and it had, like I say about Gail Carriger, has this sort of tongue-in-cheek banter going on, and I felt like it was trying to do that, but it just sort of missed its mark a little bit for me, and so I ended up giving this one 3 stars. Hi guys, so I've just finished The Widow by Fiona Barton. I've been reading this with the lovely Tracy from Flamingo Reads and Janet from Swirly Girly Reads. We've really been enjoying doing some buddy reading recently, so we continued on from Hex to this. This is a psychological thriller, I suppose, come crime story. It's set over multiple timelines, and at the very start of the book we find out that a man has died. He's been hit by a bus, and he has been the suspect in a kidnapping of a 2-year-old girl years previous. We are seeing the point of view of the widow, his wife, and we're also seeing the point of view of a reporter, a policeman, the mother of the girl, and on occasion the suspect himself. And we're just following this story both in the present time and what is happening now, and in the moments from when the mother calls the police when she can't find her daughter, onwards on the police investigation, what leads them to this man, and how the case sort of unravels. This was full of really interesting twists and threads, some predictable, some not, but it didn't matter, because it was the psychology and the characters themselves that were the really interesting part in this. It was the psyche of these characters and how they got to be the way they were, and the reasons that they took, the actions they did, and the consequences of those actions. And I think it really highlighted very well as well how difficult it is for police in cases like this, you know, to follow the right threads, to find the right information. You've got people at all angles offering information. Some is not right, some is right, some is misguided. People are trying to help, people are trying to hinder. I just thought it was very interesting, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I gave this one 4 stars. So anyway, that's all I've read this week. What have you been reading? Have you read any 5-star books this week? I'd be interested to know as always. Have you read any of these? What were your thoughts on them? Let's chat in the comments down below, and I shall speak to you next week. Bye for now, BookTube.